Hey guys, so I want to teach you something about life. I want to teach you how to have a better attitude. So you must understand that with attitude comes a lot of different leadership styles. And you have to understand that the more you read, the better attitude you have. You have to understand it's just a way of life. So, for example, those presidents that are always talking crap about one another, you have to understand that that's putting down humanity. So, for example, if you want to run for president or if you want to run for an election somewhere, or if you want to be a politic, never speak down other people. Do you understand? So the whole point of a great debate or anything in life is to always be positive around other people as much as you can. So every single day, be as positive around yourself as you can. So always do what's best for you in the best kind of way. Okay. So for example, you must understand that you have to understand exactly how I learned how to have a better attitude. I always think what's better. What's better to say that's going to help the person? You understand? Because when I help someone to succeed in some kind of life fashion, I'm always looking to exist. I'm always looking to help people in a different way. And that's a positive attitude. You have to understand that positive attitude happens when you are talking in a way that's relating to your story, but you're also not excluding anyone out, but you're just inviting people to join in on your conversation with yourself and other people. For example, with this audio program, I'm inviting you all to listen to me because I understand that I have lots of value to give, and that's why I'm understanding that's my higher purpose. And now my higher purpose is always to thrive and to make sure that I'm living the best possible life for myself and other people. You understand? And now I don't live for other people, but the thing I've learned in life around having a great attitude is that the more I talk and the more I vibrate my words into the planet, the better attitude I come to have. In a sense, so you have to understand that many people play pokies machines, for example, and they're losing a lot of money. But if you tell them in the face that they're going to lose or anything like that, then that's a negative attitude. You have to understand that you always have to be saying something like, "Oh, you're gonna win. You're gonna win. Come on, let's get the feature. Let's get the feature." Do you understand? You have to understand. You have to always be someone who is always reflecting upon a positive attitude, because that's the only thing that's ever gonna get you anywhere. So people who have a positive attitude toward life are always gonna be able to grow themselves the best way they can. And you must understand that anybody who has a negative attitude towards you are never going to achieve anything relating to you and relating to other people. Okay? So, for example, you must understand that I went to a 9 to 5 job. I worked for 4 hours for induction day, and I was carrying a lot of stuff for 4 hours. And my back was like, you have to understand, my whole body was aching after 4 hours of work. And I said to myself, it's not worth me carrying all this much to make $23 an hour. You understand? So you must understand every single day, you have to watch out for yourself and other people. But the thing is, you have to understand that it's much more about helping yourself to elaborate for yourself the best way you can. So you understand that things happen for a reason. And because things happen for a reason, it's more a reflection of who you are in the basis of life itself. So if you're always growing yourself in the best way possible, you're always going to find something to do, and you're always going to understand that when you react to something, you react to it positively. You have to understand it's about growing yourself in a positive way. I just seen this little boy. Oh my God. Wow. You have to understand this little boy went on the escalator and he's sitting on the side of the escalator going upwards, and he fell about 10 feet, and this guy catched him. Wow, it's amazing. So you must understand that you have to watch out for yourself, and if you don't watch out for yourself and other people, then things are going to happen, and the things that are going to happen is maybe negative to you or maybe positive depending on how you're acting. So for example, when I go poker, I'm always a good attitude around other people. I'm always lifting people up in terms of my words and being friendly. Yes, and being friendly in a way that I'm not talking crap about other people. I'm keeping to myself. Yes, and so mind your own business, but make sure you understand to never ever talk about other people in a negative way. You understand? So you have to understand that if you want to grow yourself, you have to understand that every single day of your life has to be a positive note. So every single day, always watch out for yourself and other people, basing it upon everything that you're doing. So it's more how you have to understand that life happens to the best of us every single day, and all you're selling really is attitude. And a better attitude, the better you are. Okay? So grow yourself the best way you can is the only way forward. Okay? So you have to understand that. That's why I say that the better attitude you have in life, the more you're going to coexist with yourself. You're going to be able to grow yourself into a better outcome. You're going to understand things straightforwardly. I mean, you're going to understand every single day to never disagree with anything. I mean, always agree. I mean, you understand? Because when you disagree with something, then an argument happens. So never argue with people, just agree and make sure that you understand to be more silent in the conversation than other people if you want to be positive. I mean, the SN. Because when you're more silent than the other person, actually, this gives a chance for them to always exist in a way that they're going to speak to you. You understand? But the thing is, every single day, you always have to be straightforward with what's happening in life. You have to understand that a positive attitude happens to people who are reading much more and who are understanding much more life and understand how to actually go about life. And you have to understand that because I spoke a lot of words, for example, and because I understand how to speak words much more often, you have to understand that's why I grow. I grow differently. I grow every single day. I'm always growing myself in the best way I can because that's what positive attitude does. Do you understand? You have to understand that when you are positive for yourself, you're going to understand things. You're going to understand how to talk. You're going to understand how to lead people. You're going to do the best job you can for yourself to grow. And that's how you actually grow. I mean, you understand? So every single day, watch whatever it is every single day and make sure that you're understanding to always tempt yourself to understand how to grow and to actually always exist in the moment. I mean, yes, then. So, for example, all I can teach you, for example, in life is how to have a better attitude. So, the thing is that every single day that you have a better attitude for yourself and other people, you're always going to be able to grow. I mean, you're always going to understand much more about life. And that's the whole point of life. So, you have to understand that for myself in terms of how I've developed my attitude is because I spoke more words and I talked much more. And because I talked much more, I helped people much more in terms of my words. And now you have to understand that if you're someone who's watching this audio content right now for the first time, okay, it's because you have to understand that things happen for a reason. And because things happen for a reason, you have to understand that you have to grow, okay? And you have to understand every single day, you have to treasure yourself in your life. You have to understand every single day is always going to be a new day. And you have to understand every single day, you have to always be positive with what you're saying and what you're doing, okay? So make sure you're never doing any stupidity out there. Make sure you're never putting yourself in danger, okay? Make sure that you're always watching out for your kids, especially around escalators and stuff like that, because they can fall and trip and they can break their heads and stuff like that. Because I've seen things on TV shows where kids have gone down escalators and fell through escalators and they just put themselves in a lot of trouble because they don't understand what's happening in the world. I mean, they understand. I mean, they always like to experience things, but they don't understand what's happening. Okay, so that's how any child is, for example, okay? But children are always positive around people and they never cause fights, okay? I mean, children love to play around and that's what you have to do. You have to play around. So the thing that I need around me the most is always positivity around me. I mean, yes, I need to be around positive things in life to be positive, okay? So if you're around negative, pessimistic people all the time, you're always going to be negative and pessimistic, okay? So the thing is, never blame other people for your mistakes and never blame other people regardless of what it is, okay? So, for example, the other day, my dad, he was laying on the couch and he put his feet out on top of the couch. And I came in the room and I hit him, I hit his legs accidentally. And he started screaming at me. And I said, why'd you put your legs there? For example, I mean, yes. And then the thing is that I blamed him in some kind of way. I blamed him for putting his legs there. But the thing is that I wasn't watching how I was coming into the room. I mean, yes. And so the thing is that I was showing negativity here because I was blaming him. I mean, yes. And because he put his feet where the door is. I mean, yes. And the thing is that I had to always say in that moment that I had to apologize. I have to apologize in that moment. I have to say, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I didn't see you. You understand? And that's it. I mean, you understand? And the thing is that you have to always encourage yourself to understand that when you're around other people, there's more people going to talk always negative around other people. I mean, in a sense, so what you need to do is always be a positive attitude regardless of what's happening. Do you understand? Because that's how you grow. You grow through the best kind of ways, and you have to understand that every single day is going to be a new day, okay? So, for example, I understand that while I'm actually doing this, I understand the TV over here is watching. I'm watching the TV, and I see a lot of stupidity. For example, I see people running down escalators, doing things like sliding down escalators and stuff like that, getting hurt. You understand? And it's really, really, I show empathy toward these people because they don't understand what they're doing. I mean, you understand? So it's like if you do stupidity, then you deserve to get hurt. I mean, you understand? But the thing is that you have to understand that when you have a positive attitude, you have to speak more words. And the more words you speak out into the planet, okay, the more you'll become aware about how to talk and how to sentence and how to do anything that you want to do. I mean, they're saying because words actually calculate and multiply into something, okay? And because words are always multiplying in the best way for you, you're always going to understand much more about what you need to do around life when you're growing, okay? Because that's all you have to do. You have to show yourself courage every single day to understand that you can do it and that you can understand to put your mind to it and to be in your feelings while you're actually talking and while you're actually doing things, okay? So that's the whole point of life. And you must understand that I was very immature and I had a shit attitude. You have to understand, I had a shit attitude toward life. Now, in what ways did I have a shit attitude? Just in my speaking capability. And you have to understand, I wasn't a good speaker. I mean, you understand, I wasn't someone who was using a lot of words. I wasn't aware of the power of the words. Okay. I wasn't aware exactly about how powerful my words can be. And that's the thing. I mean, my words are one thing, but actions are another thing. And now, when I talk to you now, I'm understanding I'm applying action into words. You understand? I'm putting actions into my words. And because my actions are into my words, I'm always understanding what to do and how to do it by basing it on my words. You understand? So when I understand that veganism and doing things that are staying away from drugs, for example, is the best thing for you, you have to be following that. You have to be doing it emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and psychologically. You understand? So, for example, you must understand that if I say things around other people, you must understand that you always have to look at who has a good attitude and who has a shit attitude. I mean, in a sense. So recently I was on Netflix and I was saying to myself over here, this person has a shit attitude because of this reason, and this person has a good attitude because of this reason, and this is why you never do that, and this is why you never do this, but this is why you do this and this and this. I mean, in a sense, I was teaching myself around people, basics of people and production of how to actually grow myself in the moment. So the thing is that if you really want to help escalate yourself into a greater way of life, you have to understand that there's always things to do where you can regard other people as something fantastic. And you have to understand that if you're away from other people much more, while reading much more, while doing more words in return, okay, then you're always going to have a much better basic around life to be a positive attitude around yourself and other people. You understand? But if you surround yourself around drug addicts, you'll become a drug addict. Okay, where you surround yourself with in life is who you become. I mean, in a sense, so who you associate with in life is who you become. So you must understand that. So you have to always understand that if I left my dad, I will never be someone smoking a cigarette. I mean, you understand? I will never be someone drinking caffeine. Do you understand? So the thing is that I associate myself around people that are leaders and people who are uplifting, okay? And that's why I keep doing the things that I do. But when I say to my dad that I do life coaching, he puts me down. I mean, he puts negativity on me. And when I show him my music, he puts my music down and he just doesn't like anything that I do as my passion, okay? So you must understand that when I told him I got myself a disability support pension, he congratulated me. You know what I'm saying? And that's like the big thing. Do you understand? But when I say that I do my passions, he's like, oh, that's shit. I mean, that's shit. You understand? And that's a shit attitude. You understand? My dad possesses that. I mean, you understand? He possesses a shit attitude and a good attitude. Okay. And now everybody possesses a good attitude and everybody possesses a shit attitude to some degree. You have to understand that. So for myself, I'm always a good attitude, but sometimes I may have a shit attitude in the blink of an eye where I may blame someone for something, or a type of guy, or I may be a type of guy, for example, where I may be talking to a shit attitude and they're talking about someone else in a negative way, and I just agree with that. But the thing is that I have to agree there. I have to say yes, but you must understand you have to agree with other people, and the more you agree with other people, the more positive you are. Okay, and it doesn't mean that you said anything about that person. It was just that you have to understand that to never talk shit about other people. Okay, never be talking negatively about other people. Okay, but the thing is, if you're going to talk negatively about other people, then just say everybody possesses a shit attitude and everybody possesses a good attitude to some degree. I mean, you understand? So the thing is that for myself, I've been posting much more good content in terms of great content, in terms of great attitude than a shit attitude. I have a greater attitude than a shit attitude. Okay, so that's what you want to be. You want to be having a greater attitude than yourself every single day, making sure that you're always possessing a greater way of life for yourself, doing the best you can every single day, making sure that you're always corresponding to a better way of life for yourself, and just doing things on a positive note every single day. Do you understand? But you have to walk life alone, and you have to do it alone, and nothing else can stop you. Okay, and you must understand that if you go alone, you have to understand that the best way is alone. Okay, the best way is always going life alone, because that's how you learn. You'll learn from those mistakes that you made when you're alone. I mean, you understand? But when you're out with other people, the other people will limit you to their way of thinking. Do you understand? So always be around people who are unlimited. Okay, people who are always sharing knowledge, and people who are always consistent around doing things on YouTube and doing things on social media today, where they're posting a lot of content. You understand? Being consistent with listening to what's going on around the world every single day, making sure that you're always increasing your knowledge. You understand? Because that's how you possess a greater attitude. Okay, so the wiser you get, the better your attitude. Okay, so that's what you want to be doing. You want to understand every single day, make sure that you compliment people on everything that happens, and make sure you understand that's how you always help yourself to do better in life. But make sure you understand that if people make a mistake on poker, or if they, for example, you're playing Texas Hold'em poker, or for example, you must understand that some people call you with crap cards. So just let it go. You must understand, let it go. And you have to understand that if people are doing something that they're not meant to be doing. You have to understand what you do is you just let it go. I mean, don't be someone who tells them what to do. I mean, you understand? Don't tell people what to do, show people what to do. You understand? Show people what to do. I mean, don't tell them what to do. I mean, don't boss people around. You understand? Just show them what you're doing, and then that way they can follow you and they can inspire themselves through you by making sure they understand that you are someone inspirational and that you're doing something in regards to work out there, and that you are spreading words, that you're doing something to help your life, to make sure that you're always positive. Do you understand? Because the only way that I've really cultivated my attitude is through reading more and through making sure that I do more words, like teach more words. And the more words I teach, and the more I teach through words, the more I can see exactly how to speak. And the more public speaking I do in front of other people, this boosts my attitude. I mean, this helps me to have a greater attitude around people. Do you understand? And this makes me wiser. You understand? Because I put myself out there in front of people and I get to have contact with other people, and I give them silence, and that's the best positive attitude that you can give to another person. I mean, you understand? You give them silence, you give them bliss, you give them peace. You understand? So the thing is that I've been around other people where I've been around drug addicts before. I've been around a lot of people, and you must understand that most of them possess a shit attitude. Okay, and you must understand that the thing is that I got away from these people, and that's why I have a better attitude now than ever before, because I've been able to recollect to get myself around millionaires and billionaires who are creating a lot of content online, and that's why I started doing it as well for myself, because I also want to bend reality and I also want to impact the world in a positive way, just like Vishen Lakiani, for example. So, for example, for myself, I want to be able to grow myself the best way I can, and that's the only point of recommendation, is to always grow yourself the best way you can. So, for example, if you have nothing to do, then you can do nothing for a bit, and then you can start doing something, okay? And then motivate yourself throughout the day and night to do something. I mean, do something that's going to be productive, and just do the things that are productive for you. So what's productive for me right now is doing this audio program, doing some quotes, and transcribing my quotes, for example, and also doing Netflix. I mean, doing some images, watching some images, and what else? I promise you, I can go and read some more information from Blinkist application, and I can just watch images, and I can just be with myself over here, be inside of myself, and enjoy myself, for example. So that's what I can do, and I can actually always feel myself doing better for myself. But the more I teach in life, the better for me, because that way I have a better attitude in the process of what I'm saying. And I understand what I say, but I also don't know what I'm saying at the same time. But the thing is that I see much greater how to speak. And because you understand how to speak and because you understand how to live, that makes you a positive attitude. I mean, you're saying that gives you something to look forward to in life. Okay, so you have to understand that you have to always be curious about yourself and other people, and you have to understand that you have to watch other people's lives so you can understand exactly what you can do. So, for example, I was watching a reality TV show and I was putting my dad's picture in that reality TV show to see how he would act around those people, and understand my dad would act negative around some people but positive around other people, for example. And why is that? Because he possesses a shit attitude and he possesses a good attitude. And you must understand that some people correlate better with other people than other people. I mean, you understand? And you have to understand that if you can correlate with all people and you can agree with all people, then you can also be someone who never denies yourself. You can be someone who's positive. You can be someone who has a great attitude. Do you understand? Because a great attitude is always selling. I mean, there's nothing else that you're really doing in life other than a great attitude every single day. So that's how it is, guys. And you must understand that if you really, really want to benefit yourself and the planet, you have to teach. You have to teach every single day. You have to understand every single day to put as much content as possible on the internet so that you can grow yourself in the best kind of way and nothing else. So, for example, in the next year, I promise you, I'm going to be uploading at least another 700 videos online, and I have that installed inside of my Mega Drive. So I have to download everything, I have to process the information, I have to upload the information, and then I have to also make the titles of all the videos and all that. And I promise you, that's all work. I mean, you understand? That's work for me. You understand? That's my work. I mean, that's my true work, and that's what I do. I just spread information as much as possible, and nothing else. I just want to do that all my life because that's my passion. And why is that my passion? I promise you, because the more information I spread out into the universe, the more I can help. I mean, nothing else. I promise you, words help the most. Okay, words will help you the most. I promise you, if you have nothing to give I promise you, if you have nothing to give other people, give them words of encouragement. I mean, give them something of words. I mean, you understand? Give them, I mean, give them a hug. Give them I love you. I mean, give them a word that you can give to them in terms of anything to inspire them or to grow with them. Or, for example, if you see a homeless man or a homeless woman asking for money, give them your business card. I mean, just say, this is a lot of information I've given you. Okay, make sure you're reading, make sure you're inspiring people, and just leave. You understand? I mean, make sure you're doing something positive for yourself, and just understand that most people are never going to listen to you. Do you understand? So that's the thing. You have to understand that. I understand. I post at least. I have 1 year of content online. I promise you, not everybody's going to watch that, and I understand that. But people are going to watch. Different people are going to watch at different intervals my information. I mean, they're saying. I mean, some people are going to watch 2 minutes. Some people are going to watch 50 minutes. Some people are going to watch 2 seconds. Do you understand? But the thing is that I'm happy to just give one idea to those people so they can live their life and nothing else. So that's the whole point. I mean, in a sense, so every single day that the people who are curious about Danny Milivojevic are always going to get the best. Personally, they're going to get the best information every single day because I teach the best information in the world. I promise you, nothing else. I promise you, every single information that I give you is always the best kind of information. I mean, in a sense, so I've been learning a lot about my quotes, for example, and the kind of attitude I have around my quotes. And you must understand that I possess a shit attitude in terms of my quotes. I mean, you must understand that some quotes are over here. I understand I have a shit attitude about life. I mean, you understand? But the thing is that I learned from it. And the thing is that I wrote it down, I transcribed it, I put it online, and then I go backwards and I make sure I rewrite that fashion in a different way. And I make sure that way I stay positive. I mean, you understand? So if I see something negative I wrote, I make sure I write it in a positive way in a quote again, and I transcribe that quote online again, and I just make sure that I keep doing that for the rest of my life. I mean, you understand? So no matter what, I'm always uploading information, and that's how it is, and that's how I grow. I mean, you understand? So, for example, if someone doesn't want to be around you, it's because they are people who don't think that you're someone credible, and they don't think that you're someone special in life. So the thing is, just do without them. I mean, you're saying you don't need those people who don't want to be in your life anyway. So the thing that you need in your life the most is yourself. So make sure you're always helping yourself to grow, because nobody else can help you grow other than you, and you have to always educate yourself. I mean, you have to be educating yourself daily. You have to be reading something daily, because if you're not reading, you're going to fall behind. You have to understand that. So every single day, encourage yourself to read as much information as possible every single day. You understand? Because that way you're going to understand much more about life. You're going to be able to predict what's going to happen in your life, and you're going to be able to grow from it. I mean, in a sense, so make sure you understand that drugs don't make you a shit attitude. I mean, they're saying things that make you a shit attitude is a negative bias of information. Okay, so the thing is that anything that's negative is also positive. You understand? But the thing is, for example, that the most negative information out there is when you are criticizing other people in a negative way, in a way that you're saying something about them and you're just telling the truth about them. You're telling the truth about what you see, and the thing is that the truth is not negative, but it's also positive. And you must understand that the thing is that when you tell them to better themselves and they say fuck you or something like that, I mean, you must understand that they're just saying words. I mean, and words are very positive, okay? But the thing is that why don't you inspire them? I mean, why don't you say, yes, I have to better myself. I mean, there's always a better response than fuck you. I mean, yes, and I mean, there's always a better response than trying to fight the other person with words. I mean, you understand? The thing is that if you want to really, really defend yourself, make sure you always talk words. I mean, you're saying you talk words in a way that people can never get to you. I mean, you understand? Make sure you understand that if people can always control you through words, then make sure you understand that you understand something about life, where those people who control other people through words are much more dominant than the people who are controlled over by words. I mean, you understand? So never let words control you. I mean, you understand? Make sure that words can never make you raise your voice. I mean, you understand? I mean, you have to understand that if you ask something 5 times from somebody and they raise their voice the fourth time, you have to understand you got to them. I mean, you're controlling them through words. You understand? So the thing is that every single day, make sure you're watching out for your tonality. I mean, make sure you're not raising your voice over very loud at the other person. I mean, make sure you're not shouting at the other person, for example, because that's a better attitude. You understand? So you have to understand that you have to cultivate your attitude. You have to understand that attitude is something you cultivate. But for example, cigarettes and drugs that I've been doing in terms of legal drugs like caffeine and cigarettes, for example, doesn't hinder my ability to talk. It doesn't hinder my ability to speak positive information into the world. You understand? So drugs don't make me negative. I mean, you understand? But what makes me negative is anything that where I may be blaming someone, okay? And that never makes me negative either, because you must understand that what makes me negative is if I blame someone, okay? And you have to understand that if I blame someone, it's just words anyway. But the thing is that I want to come across in a better way. I want to make sure that I never blame other people, to take responsibility much more for myself, to say I'm sorry at least. You understand? So I want to make sure that I emphasize with the other person. I make sure I say I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. You understand? I didn't mean to do that. You understand? But the thing is that I don't get negative. I mean, anything that makes me negative at the moment is nothing. I mean, nothing's making me negative. Do you understand? So if I understand anything about life in this video, I've learned something. I've learned that drugs make me in a way that I'm not negative. I'm not negative because I do drugs. I mean, you understand? And now what drugs am I talking about? Like cigarettes and caffeine. I'm not drinking caffeine at the moment. I'm not doing cigarettes at the moment. But the thing is, you must understand that if I have a smoke, I mean, it doesn't make me negative. You understand? It doesn't make me someone who is negative in terms of my attitude. You understand? So drugs never affect your attitude. But what affects your attitude is if you're never reading more, if you're never, for example, if you're never teaching more people, or if you're never helping more people. I mean, in a sense, so if you're not helping people at all, then you have a negative attitude. Do you understand? So make sure you understand that it's more how you have to always get control over yourself every single day, because you have to understand that I never have resentment for other people. I never have jealousy for other people. You understand? And you have to understand that's a positive attitude. So never criticize other people, never judge other people. I mean, never label anything. You understand? Never label anything. Make sure you don't know what you're saying. I mean, make sure that you give ideas as much as possible. Make sure that you're looking as best as you can every day. You understand? I mean, that's all going to be a positive attitude. I mean, you understand? So, for example, drugs make you neglect yourself. I mean, you're saying it makes you neglect yourself, but it doesn't hinder your ability to talk. You understand? I mean, drugs can even help you to talk sometimes. You understand? I mean, caffeine can help you to stay awake for another 3, 4, 5 hours so that you can do your content for another 3, 4, 5 hours. I mean, in a sense, so you can help yourself to do your work, for example. If you ever need that extra boost of energy, for example. But the thing is that it's better to live life without caffeine than to live life with caffeine. You understand? And it's better to not smoke cigarettes than to smoke cigarettes. You understand? So the thing is that if you cultivate something in life, cultivate a better attitude. I mean, that's the best way of life. I mean, in a sense. So the thing is, you always have to learn. You have to learn how to do that. You have to learn through your own words. You have to teach yourself how to talk. You have to teach yourself how to be around people, and you have to mimic other people. You understand? You have to make sure that you never copy them exactly, but copy them in a way that you copy their body language. I mean, you understand? Because that way you have to understand it's funny in a way. But the thing is that you never copy their words. I mean, you never talk their words. But if they talk words, you make sure you can use one word of their sentence and you can make a new paragraph from that sentence and stuff like that. And you can do that for yourself. But the thing is that anybody who's negative is always negative in a way that they're swearing at you or they're doing something around physical abuse. I mean, physical abuse, or they're telling you to shut the fuck up, or something like that, or telling you something like what to do, or something like that. They're just dominating you in terms of words. I mean, they're doing something in terms of words where they're just in a way that they're not leading you. I mean, they're not trying to persuade you to do better. They're trying to persuade you to do worse. You understand? And the thing is that if you do better than them in terms of words and everything, then they're always going to resent you. I mean, they're going to resent you to some extent. Do you understand? So every single day, make sure that you're always doing better than other people in terms of all areas of life. You understand? That way you have much more haters, but the thing is that you have a better life, okay? And that's how you actually understand. Never persuade people to do worse than they are. Make sure that you're always influencing people through words to do better than they are. You understand? That way you understand positive attitude. So anyway, guys, understand that, for example, in this content over here, I've taught you many things in terms of words over here, in terms of how to actually cultivate a better attitude for yourself. I hope that you've learned something from this nice and beautiful audio program, and nicely and beautifully always just say your words out there. Make sure that you're always expressing yourself. Make sure that you're always dealing with a greater way of life for yourself, and that's how you actually grow. So no matter what, guys, understand that there's always a way forward, and there's always a way to make sure that you're always growing, and just make sure you are growing every single day so that you understand much more about life. See, guys, so today I'm really happy. I'm really happy because of the word progress I've done. I mean, I've done a lot of words today. I've done so many words where I've described things in beautiful fashion at my basking performance today. And I really, really had a good time doing basking performances today. And I just did one performance for 1 hour. And because I done that, I realized something, that after 5 months of not doing basking performance, to come back and do a basking performance and do it great is the best thing. I mean, it feels great to be able to express myself in front of people again. and I do it really really credibly, and I do it really really in a nice and beautiful fashion where I'm always talking, and I always keep the crowd occupied, and I keep the crowd interested in what I'm saying, and that's very important. So the reason I started an audio program here is to make sure that I can express some more words before I go to bed. It's been 48 hours since I went to bed. I've been drinking coffee all day. I've been smoking cigarettes all day, and I'm not proud of that. But the thing is that I don't regret it. I don't regret anything in my life, and the reason for that is that I don't want to be unhappy. I don't want to look back in the past and say I regret that, I regret that, I regret that. I mean, everything's a learning experience for me, and cigarettes and caffeine and alcohol and all of this stuff doesn't impede my attitude. I realize all you're really growing in life is your attitude. I mean, Dr. Wayne Dyer says that attitude is always selling. So I'm really thankful that I read all those books, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be where I am today. I mean, in a sense, so those books have made me much more of a content creator. And because I understand how to create content now much better, I'm understanding also how to plan, how to actually do things in persuasion moving forward, helping my life to succeed. I'm really relaxed on my couch over here. I'm really aware of the moment and what's happening in my life. I'm understanding I went to Q Space Hotel in Sydney, Australia over here, and I was laying on the bed for about 14 hours and it was uncomfortable. And now I can see the difference between this couch that I'm sitting on, which I was ungrateful for. I was ungrateful for this couch. I was always wishing for a better couch at home over here. And then I compare it to Q Space Hotel over there, and I say that this couch is much more of a king rather than a prince. Do you understand? So you must understand that a king is always better than a prince, but the prince can always be better than the king also. You must understand that the bishop can be better than the pawn, and things happen in chess. For example, you have to understand that chess is a game of mindset, and it's a game of who can win over another in terms of life. I mean, you understand? But the thing is that you have to understand that I have a better couch over here than the one over there in Q Space Hotel, because Q Space Hotel is a bed. I mean, it's just a bed. It's a single bed, and there's 8 people in my room over there, and I have to stay quiet. And I didn't do my audio programs, and I wasn't able to do audio programs. But because I wasn't able to do audio programs, I was just writing materials. I was doing writing materials, and I was just doing journaling. And I didn't want to go sleep. I didn't want to go sleep all night because I was up doing my quotes. I was up making a quote book. I was up making my dreams come true. I was up doing my writing journal and just quotes. I mean, that's all I was doing for 14 hours. And I was doing a bit of Netflix as well. But that's all I could do in that situation. And then I went for a coffee. I went for another coffee. I went for another coffee. I went for more cigarettes and more cigarettes and more cigarettes. I didn't even drink the water that I got from there, but I did drink it at my basking performance. But the thing is that I'm really proud today in terms of my progress, and I really, really made progress today in terms of awareness. I'm much more able to understand what's happening in my life. I'm really, really straightforward in what's going to happen in my life now. I'm understanding where I'm reaching out for and what I'm doing and where I'm going in life much better now than ever before. And I tried to quit smoking cigarettes and caffeine at Q Space Hotel, but it didn't work out. And I invested $91 into meat and cigarettes and Q Space Hotel and the matches for the cigarettes. And what else did I do? I see Q Space Hotel, cigarettes, food, drinks, coffee, all adds up to $91. And then I said, if I stay another night, then it's going to be another $91, for example. But I have a doctor's appointment over here, and I don't want to travel 2 hours. I don't want to travel 2 hours from Q Space Hotel in the city to get to Liverpool, which is 1 hour away, to be honest. I don't want to travel 1 hour by train to get to Liverpool station, and it's just too much of a drive for me by train because I have to walk all the way to the train station. I have to wait for the train station. I have to wait for the train, and it takes up at least 2 hours of your life just traveling all the way to get to the doctor's appointment. And I didn't want to do that. I understand that it would have been difficult for me to wake up. I would have to check out at 11 o'clock in the morning, for example, and I would have nothing to do other than busking performance, for example. But I'm glad I done my busking performance that day, and I just done it today recently, and I uploaded it online, and you guys can find it in my busking videos. But by the time you check this audio program out, I'll probably be passed away from this life. I'll probably be gone from this life. But the thing is that I'm going to express as many words as possible, and words freak me. I mean, words are something that's so amazing that it makes me a freak of words. I mean, it makes me a freak of nature that I can express so many words. And now, what I want to do is I want to boost my vocabulary very soon, and I want to go and do some busking in terms of my not busking. I want to go and do synonyms and antonyms for myself, so I can just boost my imagination in other ways. So that's what you guys can do also, is boost your imagination every single day and make sure that you're always confident in yourself, learning, growing, being the best you can be. Do you understand? I mean, that's what you need to do. But I had a conversation with my mum, and now she said some things over here where she's happy. I mean, she's happy for me in regards to what I'm doing with my life at the moment. I mean, we got into a little argument, but I wasn't arguing with her. She was arguing. I mean, she was arguing with me, and I get on the nerves. I mean, if you can get on people's nerves, that means you're smart. Do you understand? You're able to make them tick through words, and you're able to control them. Do you understand? But the thing is, make sure that you always get to the point where you are so smart that you can always play with people's emotions with words. You understand? Get to that point in life, because that way you can always see exactly what you need to do to make sure that you never do it again. For example, for example, with my mum, I don't want to get on the nerves. I do not want to get on the nerves, for example. So what I do is I try to learn from what she's telling me. And then what I do is I journal things down after the conversation. I make my journal come true, and I write in my journal, and I just reflect upon the conversation that I had with her, and I write all these words down basing it on that conversation that I had with her, and how I can improve from that conversation, and how I can never argue with her. I mean, do you understand? So any conversation you have in life with somebody, make sure you're writing in a journal. Make sure that you're always busy in a journal, writing journal things down, journaling your thoughts down, because that way you're going to be really smart. You're going to be able to understand what you want to do, and you're going to understand exactly how to proceed forward in any given situation, because you have the smarts, guys. You have to understand that you can start from where you are today. You can express your story through a journal, and then you can boost your confidence like that, and then eventually you can go and make audio programs, and then you can make video programs, and then you can go and blast off into the best heavens of life in terms of anything that you can really describe. It's just amazing what you can do with words. So for example, now since I'm making better audio programs, I'm making better audio programs than before. And why is that? Because I understand that the quality of my audio programs before wasn't the best they can be. And why is that? Because I was dozing off in my communication. I was having too much silence in between the gaps of my words. I was documenting in the shower. And now, do I want to be documenting my life in the shower? I promise you, no. I never again want to document my life in an audio program in the shower, for example. You know, saying I want to make sure that my shower time is just my shower time, and that there's a time and place for audio programs. But when you do it the best you can. Just like I'm doing this audio program for you. and make sure that you're giving out content as fast as possible so that people can hear you out and so that people can understand you. Because if you slow things down in your audio programs like I was doing, then people get bored. I mean, people get bored of your conversation with yourself. I mean, you understand? But the faster you talk, the happier you are. You have to understand that. So talk faster. Be able to talk faster with yourself and other people. Because if people don't understand you and what you are saying, it's because they are unaware to the degree that you are aware. I mean, you have to understand that they don't understand you because you understand something greater than they do. And that's why they don't understand what you're exactly saying. And that's why my mom doesn't understand what I say in my life coaching videos and all that, because she's missing the point of life. I mean, she's unhappy to some degree, and she doesn't read. She reads, but she doesn't force herself to read in terms of content that's going to help her to move forward, even though she does. But she's very slow. She's slow to read. She's slow to read something that's going to benefit her life, and she doesn't have the dedication to be able to read that much. And now I have the dedication because I've learned really quickly through my ages of 21. I started at 21 reading, and I started in my 20s, and I started late. I started late to read books, and I didn't believe in books, to be honest. I wasn't the type of guy in my teenage years to read a book, and I thought I knew it all. I was always running rampant with other people. I was always getting my information from the people around me instead of books, for example. And now when I met books and when I started to read books, I met my savior. I met something much greater. I understand that there are people out there who have information. Do you know how scared I was of information? To listen to information all day long? You have to understand, I was so scared. I was so afraid to break through that point of time where I didn't know what to believe about this information, for example. And you have to understand that many people were telling me things in terms of these books, and I wasn't sure exactly what to believe. But the moment I started reading, things, in terms of some things that was said, started to make sense, but other things I had no idea what the fuck they were talking about. And you have to understand that I started reading at times one speed, and now I read at two times speed. I read at 3.5 times speed sometimes. And at blinkist.com, I can only ever read at two times speed because that's the function on their application. But on audible.com, which is a more expensive application than blinkist.com, because you have to understand that audible.com shows you 3.5 times reading speed. But the thing is that with audible.com, it's $16 a book. I mean, you have to understand that it's expensive. I mean, you have to understand that's expensive for someone that doesn't have as much money as other people, for example. Do you understand? But the thing is that I have a lot of money in terms of words. I can give you so much words, and that's the best thing in life. I mean, you have to understand that you only ever leave words behind. You have to understand that there's nothing else to leave behind other than words. So even though if you're a billionaire, I promise you your money is going to someone else. And you have to understand it's not about the money that you leave behind. I promise you, you may be poor financially, for example, but you have to understand that it's not the money that you leave behind, it's the words you leave behind. You have to understand that the more words you leave behind for people to reconsider you as someone special or someone inspiring, I promise you that's going to help your legacy to grow, because you're understanding what Jesus Christ gave you, and Jesus Christ gave you words only. And he didn't leave any money on the table for you. He left you words, and that's all the money in the world. You understand that? So he says in that nice and beautiful Bible to follow the words of Jesus Christ. I mean, follow words. I mean, you understand? Because words take you places. And now you have to understand that if you follow words, follow more words. So make sure you understand that. Never take anything for granted. And what that means is if someone says something, don't do it straight away. Think before you act, okay? Think before you do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, make sure if you think before you do, make sure you plan before you do. And if you plan before you do, you jot things down. You write things down in your notes. You write things down for yourself every single day of your life. You're always writing it down in a video. You're writing it down in audio programs. You're writing it down in journaling. And you're helping your life to succeed this way. You have to understand that's the way forward. So I've matured today, and I matured by a great deal, and I understand why. And I can see that after 5 months of no busking performances, I came back to busking performances, and I gave my busking performance, and I'm really, really proud of myself. And I'm sure that God's proud of me because I showed His Son Jesus to people, and I stood up for Jesus, and I have Jesus Christ on my wallpaper in my phone as well, and I take Jesus Christ everywhere with me. You understand? Because I understand that He's my life savior. He's the person in my life that impacts me the most in life. Do you understand? Because His information is where I'm heading for every single day. So you must understand that if you really, really understand the Ten Commandments of God, you have to follow those Ten Commandments, because if you don't, then you disobey the law of God. I mean, you have to understand to never disobey. Make sure that you always obey everything. Do you understand? Obey everything. You have to understand that's the way forward. So you have to understand that when you're in a conversation with people, you're always looking to see how you can better the conversation and how you can better yourself in that conversation with yourself and other people. You understand? I mean, and then if you want to do that, make sure that you're always doing it while you're talking to them. But then also after the conversation, make sure you jot everything down. And what I mean by that is write things down for yourself. And what I mean by that is write everything down in your journal. Okay, write everything down in your journal, and make sure that you recap on everything that's said in that conversation, and what can you do to persuade that person to do better, and what can you do in terms of that conversation to make everything better for yourself. Do you understand? And that's the whole point of being able to recap for yourself and recap your day every single day by having an audio program or video program for yourself. So that's the special thing about life, that you can always speak words. You can be able to predict time and money and whatever you need, because you have to understand that you can see the future through words. You can see your future. You can see exactly how you're shaping to be and to become in this life through words. So if you plan more words ahead of time, you're going to understand that you're going to see your life ahead of time. And my life ahead of time right now, I'm understanding I'm going to be with my mum, and I'm going to be single, and it's either going to be me and my mum single. For example, either I'm going to be single with my mum forever, and then she's going to pass away, and then I either get to Australia, or maybe I stay in Germany from that point, and it just depends. But the thing is, that's just one situation for me. Or I be with my mum, for example, and I have a kid and a wife, and I live with my mum in the house of my mum. So it's the most affordable way for me to live with my mum, so that I don't get a mortgage rate, for example, and so that we don't rent somewhere else when I have one kid with a wife and my mother, for example. And it's going to be, I see it's going to be much better for me to be able to go the most affordable way in that point of time. And that's another way, for example. But another way over here is if I have more kids with my wife, I can go and rent an apartment with my wife, live next to my mum somewhere, and then always visit my mum on the weekends, or visit her during the week and stuff like that. She can have the kids and stuff like that, and just do my life. Do you understand? And you have to understand that's another part of my life. So there's always different equations of what's going to happen in your life. But for example, for the next, let's say, for the next 2 years to 10 years, I promise you I'm going to be on the medication, for example. And let's say hopefully I'll be on the medication, okay? And why hopefully? Because that's just the way it is. I mean, is it something that I want to be on medication at the moment? I think it's much better for me to be on the medication at the moment that I'm on in terms of for schizophrenia, because it gives me the disability support pension. It gives me the opportunity to go and travel to my mum and and to be at my mum's house for 6 months of it in a year and stuff like that. So it's something new for myself to do, and it's just much better for me for the next year. I understand I'm not working a 9 to 5 job for the next year. I'm going to be working solely on words, and I'm going to be boosting my intellect and boosting my way of life through words. And that's the only way. So what I do to do that for myself is I read as much books as I can. I give as much words as I can. I produce as much content as I can in terms of music or whatever it is. I produce that. I produce as much words or music in my life. And that's the only basis of where I want to become much greater in my life. Do you understand? So you have to understand that if you do anything to help yourself to love life in terms of singing or whatever it is, you have to understand you always have to have a passion for growth. You have to understand that growth is the best kind of medicine that you can ever have in your life. You have to understand that if you really, really want to benefit yourself in the long run, you have to plan everything. So that's why I'm doing this audio program, because you can see how this audio program is going for me exactly for right now. And because this audio program is much better for me to do every single day, I'm understanding that's why I'm always uploading everything to Mega Drive, and then from Mega Drive it goes up online to YouTube, for example. So, for example, everything's going and processing itself slowly but surely, and that way I'm understanding that what I need to do is help myself to always predict time. I have to predict time. I have to be ahead of time. So, what's going to happen in my life for the next week? I understand I'm going to go poker on Thursday and Friday. I understand that I'm going to do words all day long. I understand that I'm going to do my quote books. I'm going to be at home. I'm going to eat meats. I'm gonna eat stuff, and right now I'm understand I'm gonna still smoke cigarettes and still drink caffeine, but I'm gonna be bettering my attitude and writing down and journaling my thoughts down as much as possible, and watching as much images as possible and nothing else, and just making sure I'm listening to music in my day and stuff like that. So you have to understand that music has a vital role in your life, and the more music you listen to in life, the better your life's going to become in terms of what you're selling, in terms of everything that you're becoming in life. So every single day you have to always benefit yourself in the long run to exist and to coexist with yourself, to understand that you must never drink too much coffee. I mean, make sure that you never drink a lot of coffee for yourself. Make sure that you understand to always get enough sleep for yourself, and make sure that you're always never going 48 hours like me, for example. Make sure that you're not going 48 hours without sleep, because it can hinder you. For example, I mean, it can hinder you if you're working a 9 to 5 job and you haven't slept, and then you're going to a 9 to 5 job while you haven't slept, for example. What happens is you start to neglect yourself because you haven't slept, and because you haven't slept, then you're not functioning at the best kind of ideal that you must be at. Do you understand? So make sure you get enough sleep. Make sure every 24 hours you sleep at least 8 hours. You understand? Sleep 8 hours. That's what they recommend. But why? I mean, why 8 hours? I mean, you have to understand that's just the basis. But make sure you have enough sleep. I mean, you have to understand. Brian Tracy says that the best kind of sleep for you is enough sleep. So sometimes you need 12 hours sleep. Sometimes you need 11 hours sleep. Sometimes you need 6 hours sleep. Sometimes you need 4 hours sleep. It just depends. So you may be the type of person who needs 7 hours of sleep every single day, and that's it. I mean, you understand? I mean, that's all you have in terms of life, but you have to understand you have more than that all the time. So always be persuading yourself to understand that you need to do better for yourself in the progress of life. Do you understand? So you can tell by my words over here, I've matured in terms of my words. I'm doing much better in terms of life. But you have to understand my mom. I mean, she doesn't understand. I mean, she doesn't understand me. Do you understand? I mean, she doesn't understand exactly what I'm doing. You understand? And that's not hurting me. But the thing is, it's really, really like I'm not feeling sorry for her. I feel empathy for her. I'm trying to encourage her to understand me, but I'm not trying to persuade her to do anything other than grow. Do you understand? So every single day, I want to persuade her to do the best she can every single day. But the thing is that she doesn't really, really support my kind of ideal as much as I want her to. Do you understand? I mean, she supports me to the extent that she can, but she doesn't support me to my extent of how much my expectation is. So she disappoints me there. I mean, you understand? And that's my credibility here and my responsibility to understand to never raise my expectations on other people. So you understand? So never raise your expectation on other people and never expect anything from anyone. You understand? Because what other people are giving you in return for your life is what you deserve. So, for example, if the universe is giving you something in life like a disability support pension or an allowance, or if they're giving you 9 to 5 work, or they're giving you a kid, or they're giving you kids and a wife, or whatever it is, or friends, or whatever it is, it's there for a reason, and it's there for you to learn something from that. You understand? Everything's a challenge. I mean, you have to understand everything's a challenge in life. But if you can pronounce words, guys, you can overcome anything. You have to understand you can overcome anything as long as you have the words to speak. So every single day, speak as many words as possible. Make sure that you're always pronouncing much more in life. and make sure that you take things slowly while you speak on an audio program and video program, and always go at my pace. I mean, make sure you understand that when you're speaking, you have to be at my pace right now. You have to understand you have to understand exactly how I'm being speaking to you in this audio program is how fast you have to be speaking to other people in terms of life, because that's how you actually grow, okay? You have to understand, it's really, really never slow down your communication. I mean, be fast and proactive in terms of what you're doing and what you are understanding about life. Do you understand? So when I look at my life now, I'm understanding I'm really happy. I'm happy with my progress today. I'm understanding I didn't have sleep for 48 hours, but I'm still happy. And it's not affecting my happiness, for example. I mean, it's not affecting my attitude. I understand that sleep doesn't affect attitude. I mean, you have to understand that sleep doesn't affect attitude, and also you have to understand that it can make you much more, let's say, slow in terms of how you speak, but depending on how much tired you are, you have to understand that the more tired you are, the more less likely you are to actually speak out, for example. So you must understand that you have to get the necessary sleep. So, for example, I'm not tired right now, and that's why I am still going strong. For example, after 48 hours of no sleep, I've had so much caffeine that I'm just awake, I'm just alert. I mean, you understand, I'm just understanding exactly what to do in my life, and I'm understanding exactly how to move forward. I mean, in a sense, so the only way that I move forward is through more knowledge and through more wisdom and through more free content. And the more free content I provide into the planet, the more I can persuade this world to have a better life and nothing else. I mean, you see, I mean, that's my whole point of life. It's just to persuade people to have a better life, to create more content, to make sure every single day that you are doing better and that everybody's doing better every single day. I mean, in a sense, so I'm a guide. I'm a guide of information. I'm just someone who's a resource of information, providing you information like a service provider of information. So I'm an information service provider, providing a lot of information every single day, and that's always up to date information. So every single day you have to understand that depending on how much you read from me daily, you have to understand that if you read much more from me daily, you always understand much more insights about how I think and how I feel and what I do in daily life. And you have to understand that if you study me every single day in terms of what I say in my words, you understand that I make sense most of the time. I mean, you say I make a lot of sense in terms of what I say, and because I understand that I do common sense work, I do a lot of common sense. I do a lot of common sense work in my life, and I'm always serious about my passions. I'm always serious about what I do. But if someone tries to cut off my passion, I understand that I just allow it. But they can never do that. I mean, they can never cut off my passion completely because I always have a way to go around them. I mean, in the sense, so for example, my mum doesn't want me to use technology in her house, but I have to use technology in the house anywhere I go because I have to do my passions regardless. So she cannot take my phone away from me to make me do anything. I mean, you understand? I mean, you have to understand that the thing is that it's more how she wants me to focus on her. She wants me to conversation in terms of have a conversation with her, to be out and about with her, to be going for a walk with her and stuff like that. And I can journal my thoughts down while I'm doing that, for example, with her. So my phone's always going to be with me, and you have to understand that there's always a time and place to do things and whatever there is to do. For example, you have to understand that there's always a lot of things to do every single day, but you have to understand that it's going to be an exciting time now coming up in June 10th, 2022. I'm leaving for Germany to see my mum for the first time in 5 years, and I'm going to be reunited with my mum, for example. So you have to understand that what I need to do is I need to get sorted. I need to get sorted out with what's going to happen with my life. So I understand that I have a suitcase over here. I mean, my suitcase is full, guys. I mean, it's full of stuff and content in terms of information, and it doesn't have any more space to. I mean, it may have just a little bit of space to put in something, but you have to understand that I can put a bit of information in there and nothing else. I mean, you understand? So what I mean by information is stuff like material things, because that's all information. So, for example, I'm understanding that my suitcase has full of information in there, and my shoulder bag also has information in it. But the thing is, you have to understand that my shoulder bag is heavier, and it's not heavier, but it's just heavy. I mean, yeah, I mean, it feels heavy for me, so I have to understand that I have to always just call. I have to call the airport over there and I have to ask them personally, how much can I bring on the plane? And is it possible to bring 2 bags on the plane, or what is the go over here? And just to get that information, because I have to go get a sports bag. I have to put an extra, some clothes in for myself over here. I have to put some extra clothes inside of my suitcase, and my not in my suitcase. I have to put some extra clothes in a nice and beautiful sports bag or something like that, so I can take on a plane, or so that I can leave it in the nice and beautiful plane somehow. So what I can do is I can get that sports bag that my mum suggested for me to do, and I just put in my underwear. I understand I don't put in my underwear. I put in my shirts. I put in my nice and beautiful socks. I put in whatever I need to put in, for example. So I'm understanding that with my underwear, for example, you have to understand that I use skins. I use skins for my underwear, and I have one pair of skins, and then I just shower in my skins, for example. And because I shower in my skins, I understand that I always have the same pair of skins on for myself over here, and I'm always washing my skins every single day, for example. So what's changing in my life is my mum wants me to start changing my skins every single day and stuff like that. And she says because of hygiene and all that. But the thing is, you have to understand that it's just water. I mean, water will always wash everything off. I mean, you understand? And you have to understand that chemically, you have to understand that chemicals don't help you to succeed in life. You have to understand that it helps your clothes to make sure that your clothes are, let's say, smelling better. But you have to understand that if you want to get off stains, for example, I mean, water alone cannot get off the stain. I mean, you have to use chemicals to get off the stains. I mean, do you understand? But my nice and beautiful skins never have stains in it. So water's more than enough for it to be watered upon. So when I go in the shower with my skins, I'm always washing my skins and everything like that. I'm washing everything about me in the shower. I mean, you understand? So you have to understand you have to do better for yourself every single day, and you have to outgrow yourself. I mean, it's the only way forward, guys. You have to do better in all walks of life, and you have to always do content as much as possible, because that's how you grow. You grow through the best kind of ability in the world. You do the things that you need to do every single day. You just make sure you're planning as much as possible. Make sure you're always doing as much words as possible, because you're going to plan your life that way. And every single day, I'm understanding that what else is happening in my life now. I'm understanding I have to get myself that sports bag. I have to go into a sports shop. I have to get myself a sports bag. I'll put it on the plane with my suitcase, and that way it's going to be enough. And I can do that for myself like that. And what I do is I bring my nice and beautiful shoulder bag on the plane. I'll weigh it. I'll weigh the shoulder bag at the nice and beautiful airport for myself, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I may be able to put my laptop inside of my suitcase. We'll see what happens. I mean, it depends what's gonna happen. So I wanna actually do work on a plane with my laptop if possible. So I may have to see what's happening with my shoulder bag, because my shoulder bag is getting heavier. I mean, in a sense, so what I need to do is make it lighter. I have to make my shoulder bag much more lighter, and I have to find out exactly what's making my shoulder bag so heavy. I mean, in a sense, so you have to understand that it has to be under 7 kilos on the plane. So that's the thing. So every single day, I'm understanding that what I need to do is see my mum. I have to go see my mum. I have to be with my mum. I have to communicate, and I have to reflect upon every single day in a journal. And I have to actually always speak as many words out in the planet as much as possible, so that I can grow myself in the process of everything. So I have to always recap everything in the day. I have to jot everything down, and I have to always make sure that when I jot everything down, I mean that I have to always analyze exactly all the conversations I have with people, and I have to understand why they said that and why they did that and how they done that. And for example, what did I do about that and how can it be better? And it's all these questions I ask exactly if if they are happy. For example, are they sad? I mean, where was the argument? Why was the argument happening? What can I do better to make sure that this argument doesn't happen again? I mean, do I have to allow something to happen so that the argument doesn't happen? For example, for example, with my mum, I'll give you an example. So with my mum, she wants me to change my skins, for example, so that I have underwear changed every single day, for example. So that's the thing, okay? And she says it's a hygiene thing. And I said to her that I'm gonna wear my skins in the shower and that's it. I mean, you understand? She got angry at that and she said, "No, you have to change your underwear every single day." And I said, for example, I said, Mama, I always wash my skins in the shower, so I have no need to do that for myself. I mean, you understand? And she says, "No, no, 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 no," and she got angry and angrier and angrier. And then, for example, then I went back into my journal and I started reflecting. I said, what made her angry? Is it because I was denying something from that? I mean, was I denying? I mean, was I allowing her to get angry? I mean, what was I doing? So I figured that I did figure it out. And I was actually saying, I was disagreeing with her. I was disagreeing with her in terms of life. And that's why she got angry. So you must understand that if you disagree with other people, they're going to get angry. Do you understand? So I have to agree with her. So what I done was I just said, okay, I agree with you, mum. I agree with you, mum. And she said, thank you, son. Thank you, son. And she's much happier now. I mean, they're saying, I mean, she's much happier that I'm changing my underwear. I mean, they're saying, for example. But you have to understand, it's not embarrassing for me to wear skins in a shower. And the reason is because it's more than enough for me to understand that I save money this way. And I also have less wardrobe. And I also don't have to do my wardrobe in the shower, for example. I don't have to wash my clothes, for example. So what I'm understanding is I understand that I was always at that point where I have clothes every single new week. I mean, every single week I have new clothes. And that's why I never have to wash my clothes, guys, because every single week I have new clothes. I mean, you understand? So for example, I wear the clothes every single week and I go to the shopping center, I get myself new clothes. And I just chuck out the old clothes because I always want to look new. I mean, so I always wanted to look new, as new as I can be. So the moment you can actually, let's say, change your clothing every single week. I mean, understand? I mean, make sure you're looking new every single week. I mean, the more people around you are going to be just stunned by you. I mean, they're gonna be like, "Wow, you always have new clothes. I mean, how much money do you have and stuff like that." I mean, they're saying, but the thing is, always get yourself the most affordable clothes. I mean, sometimes change the pants, but leave the jacket and leave the shirts. But then change your shirts and leave the pants and change your shoes, and then change the jacket and change the shirts and then leave the pants and leave the shoes. But you have to understand, and that's how you just change your clothing. Change one thing at a time every single week. I mean, understand, that's how you actually grow yourself, and that's how you throw away old clothes and come in with the new. I mean, you understand? I mean, never keep so much old clothes in your inside of your nice and beautiful life. I mean, you understand? So make sure you always have new clothes every single week. I mean, make sure you have one set of clothes and that's it. I mean, one set of clothes every single week, and that's all you need. I mean, you understand? Make sure you have pajamas. Make sure you have pajamas as one set of clothes as well, so that you understand you change your pajamas every single week, and that's how you never have to go and wash your clothes, for example. I mean, you understand? I mean, you never need a washing machine, for example. I mean, in a sense, so that's how I see life. I see life this way. And for example, you have to understand that you have to always have a greater perspective in mind. You have to understand that there's always a way forward and just live life, guys. I mean, live life to the best degree possible. But what else in my life? I mean, what else can I give you in terms of skills and attributes over here? See, just make sure every single conversation you're always recapping as much as possible. I mean, writing things down as much as possible and learning to persuade yourself to do better as much as possible. I mean, that's all you need to be doing, guys. So anyway, guys, I think this is more than enough at the moment to make sure that you guys are doing better. I understand that what I want to do now is I just want to keep growing. I want to keep explaining things as much as possible. I want to make sure that I'm always living my life to the fullest every single day. I'm always growing myself in the best kind of way forward for myself, and that's how I grow, guys. I grow for the best kind of way, always. So, anyway, guys, that's it for this nice and beautiful audio program. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this, and I hope that you guys go and share this program with somebody of your close friends. And see you guys in my next content and my next videos and stuff like that. Thank you very much.